Alright, let's see if I can record anything sensible right now. Anyways, I want to talk about the most recent heretic chaos, which is the fight against the Angry Bird, the Crimson Lizards, and the Jewel Turtles. So this fight is actually pretty interesting in that. So let's first take a look at the. Actually, let me do something right now. I need to enable the cursor. Yes. Right, there we go. So first things first, you can see that it's weak to ice and holy, and it does not absorb or resist any other elements, but it's also resisting ranged. This is a 90% resist, so any ranged attack is not going to be able to do much, and not even if you actually bring a range resist down, so Irvin and Front wouldn't work, they're still going to resist it anyways. And they are completely resistant to defense down and target lock. So you cannot debuff their defense, and you cannot use a tank to provoke them, basically. So why is this interesting? Well, because if you know anything about the Angry Bird type, it has a move which increases its Brave to max, basically. In this fight, it gets almost up to 60k and 70k Brave. Yeah, which is basically one-shot range unless you have a last stand ability. Normally you want to deal with it using Setzer or who else is it? Yuffie, right? Because they completely shut down any Brave gains. But both Setzer and Yuffie, they are mainly ranged attackers. Setzer's skill 2 and all his bravery and HP plus variants are ranged, and all of Yuffie's kits are also ranged. So that way you are not allowed to cheese this fight with your own Setzer or Yuffie, basically. And the Angry Bird is not the only one with the Brave Gain mechanic, the Jewel Turtle as well. When they enter the shell, they gain a lot of Brave. And yeah, if you fought him in Barrett, you would know. That's kind of pain in the ass. And there's also the thing where the standard chaos stuff, where they get a lot of stat up around with certain thresholds and whatnot. So let's actually, I'm just gonna turn this off and let's run the video, because I have no confidence that I can actually talk and play at the same time. Anyways, this is a pre-recorded version using Y'shtola, Charlotta, and Tifa with the Emperor friend. So the first thing you notice is that they actually hit quite hard, and they get a lot of Brave. So first things first, you have to manage that right off the bat. At first it's actually not too bad. You can see that, let me wind up a little bit. It still did like, Charlotta's HP plus still did like 2k, 2.9k per hit. So that's not too bad because they still haven't got their defense buffs going. And luckily, Y'shtola really good in that, her last stand. Basically, she can tank a hit, and she can heal herself back to full if you time her EX properly. So that's why I did a lot here. Let me just speed things up a little bit as well. Alright, so there, this bird here has dropped below 80%, so they're getting the first set of buffs. Maybe I should just go back a little bit. Alright, without any sort of, before they get any buffs, Tifa was sitting for 999 per hit, right? Okay, let's keep going then. Okay, I should probably mention that the strategy here, what I did here. So the bird is at 1100, I believe, while it's in broken state. I delay it one turn, and then I have I delay it by 1 turn, and then the next turn it's back to iBrave, right? And then the thing with these birds is that they are very aggressive. Most of the time, if they have any brave and they're not broken, they will try to use an HP attack. Instead of firing off the brave attack, which if they brave attack, Ishtal's gonna get broken, of course. But here I manipulate their AI into basically doing an HP attack, which is basically a takeaway at this point, to avoid getting broken here. There's nothing I can do because it's broken, it's gonna brave attack anyways. Here again, but this time it doesn't work. It's not 100%. This is actually kinda annoying. Tifa wasn't able to fully charge her EX. But here, right now, the Angry Bird, this one, is targeting Y'shtola, which has Last Stand, so I can basically ignore this one, because I can just rely on Y'shtola to heal herself back up, and focus on shaving this one down. But I didn't do that for some reason. Right, because probably I thought to focus one first, and because like right here, he was only getting 1 stack, while he's only getting his first set of stat buffs, and now he's dropping below 50%. It's getting the second set. Well, either way, I just have to shave down 1, and this time I just decided to shave this one down, I suppose. And here I charge the EX. Right. So B is no threat either. So let's see the damage output now. With both both sets of stat ups, Tifa is only doing 6k instead of the 9999 at the beginning, so it's actually quite significant. And keep in mind that I actually have Ifrit summon as well. So without Ifrit, she's actually gonna hit for much less. And I'm pretty certain I cannot avoid a break here, so whatever. Right now, I'm just trying to focus this one down before it gets the chance to use its lethal brave, which is pretty dangerous because I cannot guarantee that it's gonna go on Y'shtola every time, and right now Y'shtola doesn't have her EX backup to heal. Right, so here I did something very risky. Because initially I saw that with Tifa's 38k brave, I was almost able to kill the bird here. So instead of wasting an EX, which is probably gonna waste about 40k of damage, I decided to use Y'shtola, delay 1 turn. But the turn rate didn't work with me well, so I had to use another additional ability just to be safe. Now it's just 1 bird and it's of no threat. So let me skip ahead. Just accelerate it to, yeah. It's basically just punching bag now. I don't actually have to worry about that, but it actually killed anyway, so alright, let's slow it down a little bit. So actually something I should probably mention that in this set of chaos, it's actually fine to kill 1 boss before the other. They are not getting another set of stat ups, like even for this Crimson Litter fight, when you kill the other, when you kill one before the other, the remaining one's only going to get a bit of a max brave and a regen, HP regen. It's actually not going to get any passive stat buffs that makes them harder to kill, it's just more HP. So there is no really a strict penalty for that, unlike the green lizards, where the other one actually heals itself for like 40% HP, which is more annoying. For this set, it's actually the more annoying thing is the self-target buff that they do. They actually gain a lot of generic stat buffs. So here I just want to rush them down, so I use the Emperor Friend. But it was actually misclick. I want to summon Emperor Friend first before actually summoning, but I misclicked. So well, I gotta work with what I have. It actually worked out in the end because because I used a Freak Summon instead of Shiva. So Emperor is not actually getting any extra attack buffs by hitting weakness, so it's not too big of a deal. And right here, because the theme of this fight is that because they want to sell the gravity effect of the Yuri, they tune their defense up really high. Yeah, I probably should explain here. Charlotta's skill 1 buff has actually fallen off. So that means she's losing, I think, around 20% party max brave aura. But it doesn't really matter because I just love summon. And they are not really capped anyways. And even if I use skill 2 to battery up here, Ishtal is not going to be wasting any brave here, so that's why I decided to not to use skill 1 to re-up the buff right away, because it actually cuts away from the EX uptime as well, because it's a free turn. Right, as you can see here, the damage from the trap is actually not that great. Like on a crit is 1200 per hit, non-crit is it's 10. That's 1000, right? 1000, not 1000. Oh boy, I can't speak. Yeah. So the Emperor here is mostly just benefiting from the battery effects here. The damage output from the traps is actually not that good. So right now, what I want to do is try to kill a fast, because I don't want that buff to go off. Because along with the buffs, it actually gets a little bit of HP back for both of them. And against enemies with higher defense, it's actually more damaging for Y'shtola to do HP plus instead of doing stone sometimes. Because if your stone is not doing much bravery damage, then you're not getting much overflow out of it. But you're always going to get a set amount of overflow on your HP plus because that's a brave game based on your eye brave. Alright, so if I'm lucky here, that should die. It's only getting a brave regen, HP regen here for 27k, which is it's manageable. So, and I'm confident I can kill it before it gets to the next turn. And Emperor Friend has done his job. He stayed on the field for the entire duration of his traps. So yeah, that was that. The third fight is the Jewel Turtles. They are first introduced in Barret. Actually, for this fight, they don't have a lot of HP. That's why I decided to summon on the lizards instead of the turtles. Actually, surprisingly, the lizards wasn't resisting fire. It would be slightly annoying if they did. The turtles usually target the one with highest HP. In this case, it's Y'shtola, which is fine because she can just heal herself pretty reliably. I'm not too concerned about shaving B down. Well, I suppose I did, but I shouldn't really have to. And having Charlotta here means I also get a AoE Gravity on her EX, which is a failsafe basically. Right, you can see here already Tifa's not doing 9999 per hit, even without their defense buff being to apply just yet. I'm a slightly tough spot for, yeah. Sometimes EX recast doesn't always go your way. Let me stop it at the right time. Okay, so normally, so for Charlotta, her skill 1 charges her bar exactly a quarter, and I'm a little bit short. So right now, if I'm using, I have to use a skill 1 because I need to get the gravity off. But like, if I don't have to, if I can somehow, but actually, I think I should actually be able to just ignore this one, ignore B here, because it's targeting Y'shtola, and just have Tifa deal with A, and shave it down to like maybe 10k-ish, which Charlotta can survive a hit from. Would be the more efficient way to go about the EX recast, but I want to play a little bit safe here. Because I know Y'shtola's gonna take lethal damage, I'm gonna save her EX to the next turn. I did not use EX right away there because I want to set up a full just a maximum chase damage if I can. Right, I know, so when the turtles are targeting all, it's guaranteed to be AoE Bravery plus HP attack, which I want to save Y'shtola's EX for healing that. And right now, I'm going to use EX on B, launch and delay. I did not get a full Bravery battery chase sequence as I would like to, but it's better than the wipe. Right. Now, it was doing, her EX was only doing 6k per hit. But here, I realized that B is practically dead, and I have enough skill uses to just like delay this thing to death. And I have gravity on Charlotta EX as well, so it's not too much of a start here. Get the last of her skill out, and that's basically the fight. It's just the matter of killing this. And luckily it's targeting Y'shtola again, so I don't really need to worry about the brave shaving aspect of it. But yeah, you can see how their defenses are coming to play, that Tifa is not guaranteed to hit max damage. Slightly annoying, but I guess that's what they're doing to just sell newer characters. Yeah, that one. How much damage did it do anyways? Let's see. Oh, 4.5k per hit. And that's with a 1 mighty as well. But with this, it's practically dead. Yeah. And just send it off on launch. So yeah, that's pretty much the fight. So let me just go back to in-game footage right now. Okay, alright, there we go. So, there are several ways you can approach this. You can either actually grab the characters, like even if you don't have this synergy, Bards actually works really well here because his gravity is pretty much on demand. Ultimisha works well as well. Actually, for the first fight, for the zoo, you can actually opt to use the Setzer friend just to freeze. Because freeze and his EX, they are magic. So they do not get resisted. It's only if you're using your own Setzer, your skill 2 and your bravery HP plus are just basically useless. But the friend Setzer doesn't have to deal with that. So that's what I did for one of my runs. Also, the fact that they are specifically immune to target lock is probably because they want to stop us from spamming Zac plus Rosa. Well, granted, Zac still works pretty well here because the last boss targets the highest HP most often, and everything else actually does target all quite often as well, so Zac doesn't really lose a lot of damage as long as your RNG isn't really terrible. Rosa's EX is actually arranged, so by resisting range attack, you are also... I mean, Rosa works fine, but in a fight where shaving is necessary and you need to shave a lot fast, not being able to shave with the EX, it's quite a detriment. So by locking out ranged and target lock, it basically discourages you from using the pretty much overpowered combination of Zac plus Rosa, and not just you into using more diverse comps, which is something I like. It's not like some of the earlier Chaos fights, right? So if we go back to this actually going on for a bit longer than expected, but well, if you click onto this video, you know what you're getting anyways. So like let's say Fang Chaos, please load faster, thank you. Right, let's see what they are. Okay, they are Absorbed Wind and Holy, which means quite a bit of attackers are gone. They also resist Eye Breathe Down, they resist Poison, they resist Stun, and they also resist Sap. Which means that even if you bring a debuff team, a lot of debuffs are not useful. So you're basically forced to use the Dispeller here, pretty much. And then being absorbing to Wind and Holy means a lot of elemental attackers are not useful. For example, Vaughn, you can forget about him in basically all of the earlier Chaos fights. You cannot use the Poison and Sap to manage their Brave Game either, and you cannot stun lock them. So that's a lot of restrictions. Let's also take a look at what the other one. Deus is next, right? Yeah, Deus is the second last chapter Chaos. This was especially annoying. Like, and it allows for HP damage of 0, which means you have to take a healer. And the banner doesn't actually give you a EX plus healer either. You just have to bank on having pulled Aerith EX from before. Alright, that's enemies. So they lose their magic weakness, they gain a resistance towards ranged physical, and they actually counter bravery plus HP attacks for ranged and melee. So like there's no way you're gonna be using anyone here. They also resist. They also absorb fire and holy again. Say goodbye to Vaughn. And also you're not gonna be able to use it for summon here anyways. Because how fast they are, you can just need the speed from Shiva. Yeah, it's like the earlier chaos fights are highly restrictive. Like on top of the fact that you don't have a lot of EX plus during that time anyways. The more recent chaos fights, they don't resist absorb a lot. Like for example, I think it's a trend that's starting from Bosch. Before, like all the earlier chaos fights, they have no elemental weakness. But here, they are starting to keep some of their elemental weakness in there. They are still resisting stun and confusion, just so that you cannot basically ignore the Beetle's attacks, but you can debuff its attack, you can debuff its defense, speed, and whatnot, just neuter it. Though like they self-cleanse sometimes, so debuffing is not a great way to do about it anyways, but it doesn't lock you out of your options, which is what I really like, which is a direction that I can agree with. And with the most recent heretic, as I said before, it's not a restriction that's going to lock you out of your like the majority of your options. It only discourages you from using characters that might have, say, almost cheesing effect to it. Like if your entire roster is, if you only pulled for Zack and Rosa because they're OP together, well maybe you're not doing this fight. But if you have other options, you're encouraged to use them instead. And you are able to use the Citrophone to deal with the Brave Gains and whatnot. And even without the battery, I mean, even without gravity, it's manageable. Like, you just have to deal a lot of damage basically. You can also you cannot debuff their defense, so that's sort of more in the line of like encouraging to use gravity units instead of just like straight up brave shaving, which is fine. There are a lot of like last stand users as well that can deal with lethal HP damage. Basically though, like I think I explained myself well enough here. If not, you're probably not my target audience anyways. Let's take a look at Gal actually. Right, they resist melee, but like the only debuff that they cannot gain is the amnesia, which they throw at you. The only way to inflict amnesia back on them is to use UV anyways, and for this fight they don't actually have a 100% chance of debuffing you anyways. But yeah, aside from this amnesia debuff, which is basically useless anyways, you can debuff them, but they self-cleanses anyways, and they were weak to earth, so Broader Summon's a really good choice here. Y'shtola is particularly good. By resisting melee here, the main thing that I think they are going for is they don't want to have you using Agrias to have a AoE silence on full damage. And also because it's a triple fight, it's a triple boss fight at the very end, I think they are also basically locking out some of the AoE options like Squall. If they don't resist melee, Squall is gonna be very good here because they don't really have a lot of HP, but you can still use you can still use magic. There are a lot of magic attachers. They're pretty good. For example, right, Sarah's already very good here because though they sell cleanses, like you just have to time your debuff so they stay on and Sarah doesn't lose her whatever it's called, lose her debuff effects and debuff boost and whatnot, right? Yeah, I think that's about it for what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna stop the recording here. Hopefully it doesn't sound too terrible.